Welcome to the Golfish Podcast. I'm your host, Amy Goodman. Every week on our show, we're going to bring you fascinating interviews with the families, coaches, caddies, and industry professionals of the PGA, LPGA, Champions Tour, and beyond. Subscribe now so you don't miss a minute of the action. Nikki B joins us this week to talk about all things golf from a different point of view. Nikki's a golf media personality, winner of Golf Channel's Shotmakers, golf blogger, and recently launched her newest podcast, The Pregame with Kat and Nikki. She shares with us what it's like to work in the golf industry, how sponsorships work, and what's next in her endeavor to help young girls get involved and inspired by the game of golf. Be sure you don't miss her big announcement about her newest adventure that launches March 17th. If you're struggling to figure out where to get your golf fix over the next 6-week hiatus, then this is the place. Let's get started.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
I can. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Super excited to have you on here today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Sorry, I've been totally glued to the TV today.
It's hard not to be.
Oh my gosh, I swear the world today. What is going on?
I know. It's like we went to bed with it last night and I was like, okay, no spectators. And now today it was like no golf tournaments. And then by 11,
Crazy.
No Masters. I'm like, what? I know.
What has happened in the past 24 hours in the world? I don't know.
I know. I was like, I won't lie though. I'm probably going to be exceptionally productive because it is so easy for me to disappear into like 6 to 8 hours of golf on a Saturday or Sunday and not think anything of it. So now it'll be like, oh, well, there's nothing on TV except for like older stuff that I've already seen. So I'm like, oh, I guess I should do something with my life.
You're like, wow, yeah, I'm actually going to get some stuff done. This is actually good. Yeah. Well, and I think it's just good. It's a good reminder, one, for all of us to make our health a priority,
yes.
like to get sleep or, to get in the right amount of sleep, to eat healthy, to drink, put your health first.
Do all the things.
And then also, and then I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of good reminders that are coming out of this. And then I think for us to actually do stuff for ourselves, kind of get back to, I don't know, no more technology, read, do something, spend time with family and friends, maybe in small groups.
But I mean, unfortunately you won't be missing much if you take a social media hiatus right now. So that kind of works. Well,
and I've kind of thought about it. I'm like, I really want to. I'm like, it's hard for me. I don't know if I actually can, but I kind of want to just to at least a couple days because, what am I going to miss? Just more people freaking out. I mean, That's pretty much it.
Exactly. Yes, I'm with you there. It's just been, getting on social media has been interesting. I mean, I think John Rahm said it best. I just saw something on Instagram from him a little bit ago that he was like, there are bigger problems in the world other than if we're playing the Masters or not. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Sure. You're right. But I mean, when I heard that, I was like, wait, can spring happen if the Masters don't happen? That's just like a rite of passage.
I know. And it's just crazy because I'm like, I don't know, with all these things being canceled, I don't know, you just worry, what's going to happen to the economy? What's going to happen to all these things? And it's good. I mean, I know it's as unfortunate as it is probably the best thing to do. That way we're not exposing, more and more people. We kind of have to all quarantine ourselves, which it sucks, but I think that's the only way we're going to be able to
get through it.
Get through this as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Completely agree.
Crazy.
I'm like, agree.
Gosh, 2020 already. In the past, in the first 3 months of 2020, I think everyone's ready for this year to be over.
I know. I'm just like, it's so funny because I talked to Jeff King earlier today, and he was just like, this is just, I guess for him, because he had come back from China because he had done some LPGA events. He's like, I've been thinking about this for 3 months. He's like, I know no one else has, but this has just been, he's like, I've been getting text messages and videos and photos this whole time because of these people, because of some of the players he's caddied for quarantining in China.
Right.
And he's like, he's like, everyone just ignored it over here. And now everyone's freaking out, and China's sitting back like, yeah, we told y'all what to prepare for.
Right. It's so true. It's so true. Oh my gosh.
I know.
Well, hopefully, I think China, from what I've heard, they're kind of like back in business now, but
Hmm.
it is because they quarantined
Right.
and all that. So hopefully, once we do this, maybe it'll, I don't know, we'll only miss the first or the next couple weeks, and we can get back to business as
Right.
usual in April. But I
Yeah.
don't know if it's going to be that soon. I think we're not going to be doing anything until May.
Yeah, there have been some places, I mean, at least, so I'm in Ohio. There have been some
Hmm.
places that are like, everything's closed until, some are following our governor's orders, which is like the first week in April, like schools wise. He's closed the schools for the next 3 weeks, all schools in Ohio.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and then, but there are others that have already taken it further, and others that are like, well, just because he said today that it's 3 weeks, like, you have to realize, like, that doesn't mean that everything opens up immediately. Doesn't mean everything goes back in business and we're ready to go. And I think when, in my opinion, last night when we were watching from the PGA and they said that everything was postponed through Valero, I was like, they're either really banking on everything settling down for the Masters, or the Masters is sitting there. I mean, Augusta's sitting there like, okay, let's see where we are.
Right.
But I think everyone was like, oh, okay, like, we'll be fine by the Masters. And it's like, now that they've come out and said that they're suspending, I think it was like, wait a second, this might not be done just in the next few
No.
weeks.
I don't think it will be. And it's so funny. Like, I even have a conference I was supposed to go to in April, and they haven't canceled it yet. And I'm like, on what planet do you
I
do
know.
you think that it's like mid-April? So it's not even like end of April, but even like end of April, like Coachella and Stagecoach, those events, those were postponed
Yep.
till October. And I'm
Yep.
like, what makes you think that you can hold a conference? Because those events are outside, and like PJ Tour, those are outside. I'm like, these people who
You
haven't
want to go to
canceled
a
their
conference
conference.
center?
Yeah, I'm like, no way in heck. And what sucks is I'm supposed to get on a plane in 2 weeks and then again in April. And I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
if that's why I was watching the news, because I'm like, is Trump going to put, bans on travel domestically? But I think it's maybe state to state. So I have to figure out if I can even fly in the next 2 weeks, which honestly, if they put, I'm kind of banking on them putting a ban on traveling
Then you don't
because
have to be the bad guy that makes the decision.
right, because I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I kind of was the person like, I'm not super scared of the virus, but at the same time, I'm like, why am I going to put myself, at risk if I don't have to? But what sucks is, and I'll talk to you on the podcast about it, it's what's happening is a big deal for me. So now I'm like, I don't even know how this is going to, turn out. And I don't know. It's going to be crazy. So we'll see.
We will. It'll be
Yep.
very interesting because I do have some very specific questions around that, but I'd love to get you introduced to our audience. So today we have Nikki B from Nikki B Golf. If you don't know her, you're living under a rock, I swear. Um, so Nikki, you are a golf personality. You're a golf blogger. You have some big things you were going to talk about today. But tell us a little bit about your history in golf, how you kind of got to where you are today.
Hmm. Yeah, so I actually started playing golf, like serious golf, competitive golf, around 12, 13 years old. It was really like the summer before eighth grade. I hated golf before that. I just thought it was the most boring sport, on the planet. But my dad, he would take me out to the golf course from time to time. He's been an avid golfer since he was actually about 12, 13, which is kind of ironic. We started at the same time. And but he would take me out, and I always associated it as like daddy sport with his friends, because as a young girl, I never really saw any women out on the course, let alone like young women or young girls. So for me, I think that's the reason why I just kind of thought it was boring. And, as a young kid, like I want to do something where I'm running around and like having a good time and kind of like getting all that energy out. But I don't know what it was. And what really made that shift. But I know there was a couple things. I had gone to an LPGA tournament. So my dad brought me to an LPGA tournament that was local to us, and Natalie Golpis was there. and she was a local girl. Like, she dressed super cute, and I saw her and I met her, and she was the nicest person ever. My dad actually had like trouble taking the photo. Like, the first couple times it didn't turn out, so we had to go back and ask her for another one. And she was so gracious. So she made like a very lasting impact on me. And I'm so grateful for her, because I think that moment was kind of one of the things that really spiked my interest to play golf. The other one, I realized there was a cute boy that played golf, and I was like, well, if I want to get his attention, I should probably play golf too. So it's kind of a couple different things. And then I was playing like basketball and doing theater, but those things I was good, but almost like not good enough. And the problem is I wasn't in control of like what the result was. So I was good, but like it was up to the coach to decide who was the, starting point guard. Or I was good, but it was up to the casting director who got the lead role. And so I kind of was like, you know what? In golf, it's in my control. Like, I create and I choose my own destiny, and it's up to me. If I play well, no one's going to be able to to take that away from me and tell me that I can't be number one. So that kind of, all those things kind of like accumulated, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to give up everything I'm doing and start playing golf. And so I kind of got hooked really quickly, and I was pretty good at it because I had dabbled in it, growing up, and ended up making the varsity team my freshman year, played in high school all 4 years and got a scholarship to Sacramento State. Funny enough, and I'm from the area, so admittedly, that was not my first choice. I'm an only child, so I wanted to go, far away from my parents, experience college, go to like a big school. But that's just how it worked out. Unfortunately, like a couple other offers fell through, and I was, so devastated, but everything works out how it's supposed to. I went to Sacramento State. I made so many great lifelong friends there, not just on the women's team, but on the men's team, and then even outside of golf. And so I'm so grateful. And my coach, he's one of the best coaches ever. He's like, has such a personality. It's actually David Sutherland, who's Kevin Sutherland's brother. So I mean, I was coached by, one of the greatest coaches out there, in my opinion. I learned so much from him, not just about golf, but like life itself too. And so that kind of took me to what I'm doing today. And it's funny, from high school, I went from like a big fish in a small pond, and then to college to a little fish in a big pond. And I unfortunately was the type of player who put so much pressure on myself. And it kind of, I don't want to say ruined my career, but I definitely lost like the bug. I lost my love for the game because I just like got so down on myself. Freshman year, I went through, God forbid, I should never say it, but I went through like the driver yips, and it was like the worst. It like kind of like ruined my career in a sense. But senior year, I ended up kind of getting better and getting it back. But I was never the star player. I didn't travel all the time. So that was it was a very humbling experience. But the crazy thing is, my senior year, I found like I fell back in love with golf again. And I'm so happy that I did. I knew I definitely didn't want to play professionally because I was realistic. And I was like, hey, if I play professionally, I'm going to have to grind 10 times harder than anyone else out there. Because, the competition is fierce. And I'm these girls are so good. And I'm like, as much as I would love to, and it would be so awesome, I just don't think it's in the cards for me. And it was also because I kind of had always had a love for like being on camera and being a host or reporter. Like, I just remember always growing up, I would always watch the news, and sometimes I wouldn't even listen to what they were saying. I would just focus on their mannerisms or like how they said certain things versus like what they were actually saying. And I realized too, like, I loved watching golf because I loved listening to what all the analysts and commentators were saying. So I decided that playing golf professionally was not on the cards for me, but I wanted to make, a career for myself in golf media. So I ended up my senior year before I graduated, I was a communications major with emphasis in public relations, actually. So kind of, it prepared me a little bit. I took some journalism classes here and there and like sports media classes here and there. Looking back, I wish I would have majored in broadcast because it would have helped me a little bit. But so I ended up creating my blog, nikkibgolf.com, and a YouTube channel. I reviewed golf product, like anything and everything related to golf. And that's kind of how I got my start in like doing what I do now. Because I was applying to so many jobs and internships, and I swear to you, I didn't get a single call, a single email back, or the emails that I did get back were like, sorry, our position's already filled. And so that was also a humbling experience too. And I kind of had this epiphany like right before I graduated, and I was like, you know what? If no one's going to give me an opportunity, I'm going to create the opportunity for myself. Like, I'm going to figure out a way to show people what I can do and get myself on camera if no one else is going to help me do it. So, started doing that, and then it really just like networked like crazy. So like I was working a normal 9 to 5 job, just like everyone else right outside of school. And I knew obviously that's not what I wanted to do, but of course I had to make ends meet, and make an income. And so, yeah, I ended up, doing that. And on the side, like every weekend or every chance that I'd go out on the golf course and get content, or I'd go, travel on the weekends to whatever, tournament or event or the PGA show. And, that's kind of how I was able to like kind of get my foot in the door. And I made so many great connections. I networked like crazy, and really built like lasting relationships. And, it really, I made a couple with the Golf Channel, and like, I was open and honest with them. I was like, I love the Golf Channel. I will do anything for you guys. What do you need from me? I will help you in any way. Like, this is my end goal. And, I made great contacts there. Tina Lloyd, Jeremy Friedman. Those are two people who have been like, in my corner for me since day one. And, I got a call to be on Shotmakers, and then that kind of led me to my position to social media correspondent today. And then actually a couple other fun things within Golf Channel, that I'll be announcing soon. So yeah, it's been a crazy wild ride. I have a very unconventional path to get there. But it was a lot of like, hard work and grind and patience. Patience is like the biggest thing that I tell people. Things don't happen overnight, unfortunately. And that's, you don't see all the work that people put in, and the patience that they have to have in order to accomplish their dreams, right?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. If you aren't following along with people from the beginning, you're like, oh, look at this overnight success. You're sitting back like, this took me 5, 15, 20, 30 years, like overnight. Like, you missed everything that I went through.
Exactly.
That is funny. So now you're a social media correspondent with Golf Channel. So what are you doing now? You have a podcast.
Yep. So now, it's really exciting.
All the things.
Right now, all the things. The one thing is like, I love doing multiple things at once. And the thing is, as a contractor or freelancer, you kind of have to. And I'm like an Aquarius, so like I don't sit still. And I always I'm definitely like an entrepreneur at heart. So, I just like love being able to do multiple things. And really they all come back to the same thing as like speaking, being on camera, helping others. But, so I'm a social media correspondent for the Golf Channel. And I primarily work on the collegiate side. So it's really fun right now. It's a really awesome time, for college golf. We have so many amazing young golfers up and coming. We have like all the guys like, Matthew Wolf and all those guys like up and coming right now. And it's funny, like they're the new young guns, and they're actually like, apparently, according to a press conference, I think it was last week, like Justin Thomas isn't a young gun anymore, so
I'm like, oh,
crazy.
Stop it. I can't.
Right. And when they said that, I was like, I'm like the same age as Justin Thomas. Does this mean I'm not a young gun anymore?
I know. I'm like, oh, am I about to retire? Did I miss a whole few decades of my life? Like, what's happening?
Right. I know. It's so crazy, but it's so fun to see. So, and I've made so many awesome connections, especially like on the women's side, with, so many of those girls. And unfortunately, some of those girls, with recently, the NCAA, they've canceled all the tournaments for the rest of the year. So the senior girls, I feel so bad and my heart goes out to them. But I've been kind of messaging all of them, and I'm like, hey, don't worry about it. Like, I know this sucks and I know we don't know the reason, but like, you're going to go on to do great things, whether it's in the LPGA or maybe outside of the LPGA. Like, I'm like, don't let this like bump in the road deter you from accomplishing your goals. So, it sucks, but it is what it is. But yeah, so that's one thing that I do. Another thing that I do, outside of golf is I just launched a podcast as well. So I love podcasting. I actually was doing one earlier, with CBS's Max Prep. So we had to end that one, unfortunately. But this one I started with my friend Kat. Katerina Contreras. She is the co-host, actually not the co-host, she's my co-host, but she is the on-court, she's the on-court host for the Sacramento Kings. And so, yeah, it's really fun. Her and I just met, actually, funny enough, through social media. We live in like the same area, but of course we met through social media, and like we went and worked out for the first time together because she's like a super like fitness nutrition, like she's so fit. And so I went and worked out with her, and honestly, first time meeting her, we were talking about podcasting. I don't know how we got on it. And then we looked at each other and we were like, should we start a podcast together? And so, yep, that's kind of how the idea was born. And we went through a couple names, and then we launched it pretty quickly. Like I already had a producer in mind, and so it was pretty quick turnaround, but she's so awesome. She's like such a light, and she has so much energy. And the podcast is really, it's called The Pregame with Kat and Nikki. And it's kind of what I just talked about earlier. Like it's talking to others who have, quote unquote, made it, but talking to them about like all the preparation, hard work that was put in before the magic happens, because, that's what we don't see. And I think we want to like shed light and show people like they had to put in years of, experience and time and hard work into where they got to where they are today. And, kind of just like not necessarily sharing their secrets, but giving advice and tips on how to get there. And it's kind of focused in the sports and media realm. So people who are like either hosts or athletes in the sports and media realm, that's kind of our niche subject, but it's a lot of fun. So it's really great. And then the other kind of big thing that I'm doing right now is I'm actually the guest of honor for the Capital Invitational, which is a Sacramento tournament, and it benefits the American Cancer Society. So I'm really excited about that this year. We, meet monthly and kind of plan out the tournament and try to get sponsors and all of that. And it's been so much fun. Cancer like touches everyone, and it's just such an amazing organization to be a part of. And I'm honored to be the guest of honor this year. But that'll be super, super fun. And I'll probably be hitting shots out on a par 3 for everyone during the tournament. But yeah, so that's kind of like all the things that I have going on right now.
So because we've had this podcast for almost a year. So it became a thing, like the idea became a thing literally on Sunday at the Masters last year. And
I love it.
Like was launched in June. So we're very new to this. You're obviously significantly more experienced than us at all of this. And last night as we're sitting there watching TV, I mean, and this is because like my undergrad is in nutrition, my master's is in HR. Like I have not been in media. And I was just watching all of this coverage last night, and I'm like, this sounds like the craziest thing to me, but because you'll be running into it with social media too. How does one, not necessarily me, but like how is Golf Channel and ESPN and CBS Sports and NBC Sports, like all of these places have all of this time now because there isn't going to be anything to put out. How are the marketing and PR and social media people, like how are they preparing? How are you preparing for a content calendar of like, there is literally nothing new for 6+ weeks? I mean, NASCAR and IndyCar were the last two holdouts. They were like, we're going to still race, but we won't have spectators. And that has since changed since about 2:00. Yep. So what does this mean for the broadcasting community as a whole?
Oh my goodness. Well, that's a great question. I will tell you, everyone's kind of in panic and crisis mode right now. Yeah. I mean, it's very unfortunate. And I think everyone's kind of, everyone's stressed for lack of a better term. And I hate to say it, but it's true. I mean, and the people who have multiple things going on are, the lucky ones, or who have a spouse or someone else that they can lean on are the lucky ones. I kind of think about, I'm lucky in a sense where I do have, like, I'm married. Luckily, my spouse, I think for the most part, I mean, he works in the finance department for like a tech company. So I think we're safe there.
Pretty stable. Pretty stable.
Yep. So we got his income, thank goodness. But for me, I kind of have multiple, I always make sure to have multiple sources of income. So I know, like I said earlier, I love to do multiple things and kind of not be tied down to one, because I have done that in the past. Yeah. And a 9 to 5 is not my thing. But so I think, with also it like kind of keeping me energized and all of that. It's also great because you just never know. Like, I think it's so important to have multiple sources of income because you never know what can happen. And
absolutely,
this is a perfect example for it. So yeah, my heart goes out to like, anyone who's in broadcast, in the sports world, or, um, anyone whose jobs are affected. And if they don't have like a secondary source of income, like it's going to be rough. It's going to be hard. So I think, I know as for me, for my agency, Digital Golf Collective, I'm so thankful for them. They are busting their butts and just trying to figure out like, okay, where do we pivot? What do we do next? And I think most broadcasters, reporters, hosts, most of them have an agency to go to. I'm lucky in the sense that mine are so great. Like I have my manager reaching out to me like every few hours, like, how are you doing? Are you okay? And I'm like, are you okay? Like you're the one that manages, all the contracts, negotiations, like all the business and logistics. Like, I'm like, I'm sure you're the one who is probably, freaking out a little more than I am. So, I think we just have to take it day by day, and really at this point in time, hour by hour, I guess.
I mean, because it just changes so frequently right now.
Exactly. And I think it's kind of a time to maybe sit back and reflect, as and hope you have like enough savings to kind of get you by for the next couple weeks, or some, another source of income to get you by for the next couple weeks. But it's kind of also, I think for me, like I'm really figuring out, okay, so outside of golf and, hosting or being a correspondent, like what else can I do, and what else? Because, I've been thinking about doing other things and planning certain things for a while now. And it's really what's kind of exciting, is being able to devote more time to those things. So for me, I'm kind of even thinking like, I get reached out to by girls like almost on a weekly basis, for kind of like, navigating their path post college or even post high school, and figuring out how to get a college scholarship. So for me, it's like, I'm thinking about creating kind of like more of like a coaching program of sorts, or, just creating maybe more local things at home. Like what can I do in my home, or at home base, instead of, traveling. So,
right.
And then too, it's crazy, but I think everyone's going to kind of like sit back and realize, like what can I do outside of like watching sports or watching TV? And I hate to say that because obviously I work in the industry and I'm like, I need people and we need fans, in order to keep my career. But at the same time, I think it's also kind of going to bring people back to reality, maybe in a sense. And like I kind of mentioned, like making sure your health is in check, making sure you're always like checking in with family and friends and making sure they're okay. Reading a book for once. Like I try so hard to, I have a goal every single year to read 12 books in a year. And I'm like, okay, I can read one book a month. Like I should be able to read one, like 300-page book a month. Like that's, I feel like I should be able to do that. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. People are definitely in crisis mode, but I think it's ultimately people are trying to figure out like, okay, maybe I should have multiple sources of income. Maybe I should figure out what I can do on a local level. But yeah, it's kind of, we're taking it, hour by hour, and you never know, things could change. Maybe, who knows, in a week, everything could be back, A-okay again,
Right.
A-okay again, or maybe it's going to take 6 months. And so it's really, yeah, everyone I think is in a kind of strategy crisis planning mode right now. And I think we're all just trying to keep our sanity, and keep positive. Like when I talk to people, I'm like, just be positive, like use this as a time to like, I don't know, do something like, you mentioned like do something productive, and just stay as positive as you can.
Yeah.
Wash your hands. I don't know.
Right. Wash your hands. Don't touch other people.
Yeah, exactly.
I definitely think you're right. I think, especially if this does continue to go on for any significant amount of time. And for me personally, I see anything significant as anything past what we currently have, which is like beginning of April, because I think a lot of people can see the light at the end of the tunnel if it's a month. But if this keeps getting extended, I think that's when it gets really tough.
Right.
But I'd be really fascinated to see maybe some economists in a couple of years do a study and say like how much this shifted people's sources of income. Just like you're saying,
Right.
like they move from a typical 9 to 5 because so many people, I feel like in 2008, 2009, there was a lot of shift then, and we've gotten a lot more into the contractor gig economy type mindset.
Yep.
And I can only imagine that this type of thing now 11, 12 years later will cause that same shift again and will impact us even heavier on trying to find people for those jobs that still need a 9 to 5. But people are like, I mean, and especially like you talk about this a lot, or you hear about this a lot, Gen Zs and millennials just being like, I want to make my own schedule. I want to be my own boss because I want to be in charge of my destiny. And I think that's where the biggest shift is going to come, is like, wait a second, we saw our parents go through it when we were either in high school, grade school, graduating college. I was personally graduating college when it happened. And now seeing this again, I'm literally in the process. We are starting our family. We're due in 2 months. And I'm like, this is the time that everything shifts again. So I came out of college, and it's like this big thing, just kind of like you were talking about with, I'm not sure that the LPGA is where I'm going to go. Like, this doesn't seem right, but I still want to be in the industry. This is what I do. So it's, I think it'll be really fascinating to see who makes it out to the other side to say, okay, I want to keep doing this. This is the right place. Or they're doing like a lot of different things to just diversify.
Totally. And yeah, and I think you like hit the nail right there. I mean, it all comes down to, we can foresee like if it only changes things for a couple weeks, or a month, whatever. But I think people are really freaking out about, well, what if this, changes the landscape, and what if we can't do anything, for another 6 months? And I think the one thing is, we don't know what we don't know. And I think we're putting this fear into our heads. And I think what we have to do is, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. You got to have faith that like things are going to be okay and work themselves out as they always do. Like you mentioned, we had the recession, and look at like we were thriving before the coronavirus.
It's been great. So yeah, absolutely.
It's been awesome. So it's like, we will get back again. And everything works itself out. I mean, it doesn't happen right away. Like I said earlier, it takes time. It's patience, and things don't happen overnight, which, that's the problem, I think, with our world today, is we want everything to happen now. We want an answer now. We want, coronavirus to be, we want a cure for it now. Like, we want it to end now. And the unfortunate thing is that's not how the world works.
Right.
So, but I definitely think that, it's a crazy time, but I am also interested to see what Gen Z does with this. And I think it's, it's almost like the world is showing us, and Mother Nature is telling us, like, don't be so reliant on other people. Don't be so reliant on, a company or, your employer to, like have it all figured out and keep, have a stable job. Like, you can't be so reliant on other things, and you never know what can happen. So just, definitely preparing for the worst and hoping for the best is probably the best thing we can do at this rate.
Right.
But, it also is unfortunate. I'm like, how is this going to change the landscape of sports moving forward? I think that's the one thing that we're all kind of stressed out about is, hopefully it works itself out, and, not just for golf and PGA Tour, LPGA Tour, but all the other leagues and all the other sports. But what is it going to look like? If we do, hopefully everything's just postponed, but it'll just be interesting to see kind of what happens after. And then also as a society, like how we interact in the future. Like, are we going to be afraid to go into crowds? Are we going to be afraid to travel? Are we going to be afraid to like shake hands, So it's definitely an interesting time.
Yeah, it seems like we kind of go through some major shifts, and I do agree. I think it's like, it's almost like the world's just time to say like, hey, take a step back and realize like what's going on, but I think it'll be very fascinating. If this was not going on, what would be like, what did, until like the last couple of weeks, what did the next couple of months, 6 months look like for you?
Yeah. So I'm really excited to announce, and I think we're good to go to announce this based on when this podcast or this episode is coming out. But so I actually, my first episode of School of Golf. So I'm the fill-in co-host for Blair O'Neill on School of Golf while she's on maternity leave.
Woo
And
woo.
and by the way, congratulations to you.
Thank
I
you.
forgot to mention that.
Thank you.
So exciting. I know I personally can't wait for that time. So I just get so excited for, everyone else because it's an amazing thing, I'm sure, to go through. But so yeah, I'm filling in for Blair O'Neill while she is on her maternity leave, and she will be back. But I was really excited when I got the call for that opportunity on School of Golf. And so the first one premieres March 17th. So I'm really excited about that. St. Patrick's Day. So I feel like even with everything going on,
good. Good luck.
Yes, I'm like, it is luck that it's premiering on that date. Even with everything going on, I still believe like it's all good, and everything that's meant to be will be. So yeah, I'm really excited about that, and I'm just excited to see kind of maybe what will come from it, and I'm excited to see everyone's reactions. Hopefully people go easy on me because I know Blair, she is like the queen. I mean, that girl, she golfed at 7 months in it, and I swear I feel like that will not be me. So
It won't be me either. I went to my husband's golf fitting last week, and I looked at clubs, and I looked down at my belly. I'm like, no.
You're like, nope.
No. I'll happily go to a course with you. That's about where it stops.
Yep. So I have so much respect for her for, not just that, but also her career. I mean, her career is just admirable. I think a lot of, girls look up to her. I know I most certainly did. And so, yeah, she's the OG, she's the queen. But yeah, so hopefully that'll kind of lead to other things with Golf Channel. And, as far as I am the correspondent on the college side. So we'll see kind of what happens there after springtime ends. Who knows what's going to happen. But yeah, so that's kind of what was going to be the plan moving forward. And then of course, just still podcasting. Now with with everything going on, I think I will be diving like head on into the podcasting world, which is great. I mean, I love podcasting. I obviously love talking. I'm sure as people have figured out so far. So yeah. And then I also too, am kind of in planning stages for a couple things, and kind of something too that I mentioned earlier. I've kind of noticed my calling is to help young female junior golfers in some capacity. Like I love whenever anyone reaches out to me on Instagram and asks for advice, whether it's golf advice or, college advice or career advice. And so I'm kind of putting together some things that I'm really, really excited for, for just how I can help that group of young girls. So we'll see. Some of it was event based. So we'll see kind of, with the landscape of
whether you can make it.
Right. So, yeah, I'll hold off on sharing any details of now, but, yeah, I think kind of just focusing and putting my efforts into planning and strategizing on that end. And, yeah, just like kind of being, I guess a mentor of sorts to those young girls. Cause the college, like playing college golf was the best 4 years of my life. And I want every young college or young high school golfer to have that experience. And then, my message always is to create your own path. And make sure you go after your dreams and you don't settle for anything less. So yeah, so whatever I can do to help those girls will just like, I know that's what my calling here is. So yeah, so that's kind of what's in the works for me.
So I know on your website, you mentioned it before, Nikki Beat Golf. You have some articles about there that help like young girls in golf, and you have like how to get a scholarship and what to do in certain scenarios and things like that. So you have some of those resources out now. Is that how some of these younger girls are finding you? I mean, outside of like social media, are they seeing that stuff and saying like, she is an expert, like this is who I want to talk to and this is who I want to learn from? Because you do have a very a personality that like pulls people in. Is that absolutely? So is that where you're finding most of your audience?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, social media is so big for kind of that younger demographic.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
definitely, I think my website's a resource. Obviously Golf Channel is also a resource, but then it is also primarily Instagram. I'm trying to teach myself how to TikTok because I know that's where the younger generation is, but that is a whole nother beast that I cannot figure out. I would like to get my YouTube started again. But yeah, so I definitely, I think kind of all those different platforms are where girls are able to find me and kind of, yeah, reach out to me and message me and ask me anything on there. But yeah, I think probably Instagram is the biggest one. Where they find me and message me. But yeah, that's kind of like all the places where I think I'm tapping in. I'm trying to tap more into TikTok, but that one, I don't know. I can't figure it out.
I never figured out Snapchat, so I am sure I am never going to figure out TikTok. Like,
Well, you know what? It's okay. I feel like Snapchat is kind of on the outs anyway.
Yes.
I think people use
like,
it basically just for
that.
messaging each other. Yeah, I don't think it's a big social media platform in a sense. But TikTok, oof. Yeah,
I know,
that
my niece and nephew, they love it. And I'm
Yep.
like, yeah, okay,
Yep.
whatever. I don't understand.
I know. I'm trying to figure out like, okay, because I'm like, I'm not a dancer. I'm not going to try to be a dancer. Like one of my best friends, Tisha, she is a dancer. She does phenomenal on that app because she is a dancer and she can, she can learn all the challenges in like, I'm sure 5 minutes and then, throw up a video within 5 minutes
Yeah.
of learning it. But me, on the other hand, that doesn't come so easily. So I'm trying to figure out my angle and my voice on TikTok. I haven't figured it out quite yet. But hopefully we'll get there.
You know what? I hear you're going to have a little bit of free time over the next few weeks, so this might
Yeah,
be the
exactly.
time to practice.
So, hey, maybe I'll become a viral sensation on TikTok for a dance video. You never know.
Hey, you know what? We'll be watching for it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned School of Golf and Blair O'Neill. So how many episodes have you guys already shot, if you have one coming out next week?
Yeah, we've done 4 episodes so far, so we'll kind of see what happens moving forward. Yeah, so I think as far as I know, I'll be able to go back and film all the rest of them. But yeah, so we'll see what happens there.
Where do you film?
We film in Orlando, so in the studio in Orlando.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, getting back and forth from California to Orlando will be the biggest question mark, I guess.
Yeah, I'm like, of course I live in California, like the furthest away from Orlando.
But you know, it's
But
like,
it is what it is.
It's California. To me, it seems like it's California, Arizona, Texas, Florida. Like those are your major options. So it's like you just, I mean, and now with the like Golf Channel moving and things like that, obviously like the Northeast is becoming a thing because of major news outlets and ESPN and everything being up there. But I mean, for golf, it still really is that those 4 states and keeping it as south as possible because you can practice more. You can actually do something.
Totally. Yeah. And so we'll see what happens. I mean, I know as much as anyone else does about the whole Golf Channel move. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen as far as all their instruction shows. Because obviously, I mean, you can't be filming instruction shows outside in New York or, in Connecticut or, in the Northeast in the wintertime.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a little cold up there.
You could, but you won't find any grass.
No.
So.
No, everyone will have to be sponsored by Vice or like anyone that has like the like lime, like, or the neon balls so you can actually try to find them in the snow. Like that's what it will be.
Exactly. Well, then it's like, what happens when your ball gets buried in the snow?
Right.
Then, I mean, is there a tracker on your golf ball? Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. So we're moving everything to like Top Golf. So we have the trackers.
Yes.
That is funny. So I know when you and I were chatting, prepping for this, one of the big things that we have had a lot of questions about from a player perspective, from a caddy perspective, like from our audience, is sponsorship. So you got some really awesome Code Chaos shoes in the mail this week. We got to try those on. We didn't get to try those particular ones on, but we got to try Code Chaos right when they were launching at Waste Management, which was awesome. And met some of the people from Adidas, which was great. So tell us about sponsorships, how that works, how it has worked for you over your time in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at first, it was just me seeking out sponsors myself. And really it was me pitching myself to other sponsors and really just figuring out like, who do I want to be sponsored by? Honestly, I will admit at first, I was taking anything that anyone would send to me. I was promoting anything and everything because of course you're like, I just want to like make some money doing this and prove that I can do it. And unfortunately, in the beginning, I'm sure there was products that I promoted that I would never promote now. Um, Looking back, I'm like, oh gosh, why did I promote that one thing? But you learn. And so as time went on, then I really started figuring out, okay, like who do I want to be sponsored by? Like who do I identify with, and like what brands go along with my brand and my messaging. I've been an Adidas girl my entire golf career because when I met Natalie Golfis, she was Adidas. So I have been team Adidas for pretty much since the very beginning. So that partnership in itself was just like so natural. And I was over the moon and so excited that they wanted to work with me.
Yeah.
So that was really exciting. But it took time. I think the one thing when people are trying to find sponsors is, again, I mean, I feel like I'm like, I keep repeating myself, but it really is like kind of working to prove yourself and
Yeah.
then staying patient. You have to stay the course. That's really, I think what I've come to realize is, I guess, my best advice for everything. The one thing that brands and companies want to see, like if you're wanting to be sponsored by them, they want to see that you've been a fan of the brand for a long time, not
Mm-hmm.
just like, hey Adidas, like I've never worn your clothes before
Yeah.
or used your product, but can you send me a free pair of shoes and I'll promote
Right.
them?
Right.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, and you're going to look like a fraud, to be honest. So, yeah, what brands want to see is like that relationship that's cultivated over the years. Like they're not just gonna, I mean, some brands will, and the brands that send products to anyone and everyone, I think we all know who those brands are, and we get tired of them. Like I swear, if I see another Sugar Bear Hair Vitamin post on my feed, I'm gonna throw my phone.
I can't tell you the last time I've seen one of those, but like as soon as you said that, like I can instantly see like the
Yeah.
container, I can see the last
Yep.
person I saw it from. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yep. I
Oh,
mean,
that's
it's
been a while.
just,
That's good.
yeah. I mean, I feel like Sugar Bear Hair is the perfect example of like, I don't know, just what I'm talking about. And I don't want to say like bad sponsorships because, I don't want to like hate on Sugar Bear Hair, but, they'll just send it to anyone and everyone's talking about how they use their vitamins and it grows their hair. Meanwhile, these girls are all wearing extensions and wigs and everything. And it's like, come
Right.
on. So,
Right. Right.
but yeah, but as far as getting sponsorships now, I am lucky to have my agency, Digital Golf Collective. And before it was Digital Golf Collective, it was actually my manager, Jess McAllister. And she created Digital Golf Collective with Sean Guerrero from Golf Bald. And so they've been an amazing agency to work with. And Jess, it's actually kind of cool because I was Jess's first client in the golf space. And she has been like in love with golf her whole life, but she actually spent 10 years in media and entertainment. And, she kind of got to the point in her life where she was like, I am so sick of media and entertainment. She's like, I'm just going to go, I'm going to do golf. And, it was kind of crazy because she had commented on one of my photos on social media, and it was a post about, me and my dad golfing. And she said something about her and her dad golfing. And so that's kind of how it all started. I looked at her profile, we, connected, had a conversation over the phone, and I was like, yep, you're my manager. Like, I just loved her. And so, but I say that because I'm so lucky, to have her now to pitch me to potential sponsors, and to negotiate for me and to figure out all the logistics. Because it is kind of awkward having to pitch yourself and be like, hey, you should sponsor me because I'm great and I'm worth X amount of dollars. And like, this is, it is kind of awkward. So I definitely tell people, I'm like, no matter how like quote unquote small you think you are, and like, I always like never discredit anything that you do, but like, and you're never too small for anyone. I would just say like, find a great agency, find a great manager or agent, someone who you trust, because there can be a lot of slime balls out there. But and definitely find someone who like caters things towards you, who doesn't just like go to a sponsor and be like, hey Adidas, here are all my clients, pick which one you want. So
Right.
definitely, yeah, but you're never too small for an agent. I mean, that's how everyone, I think, gets gigs or gets sponsorships when they're first starting out. You have to have someone else like, in your back corner creating these opportunities for you and helping you out. and you definitely can pitch yourself. I think in the beginning, sometimes that's kind of how it has to happen until you find someone that you trust. But yeah, it definitely is awkward, but you can do it. And there's ways to do it. It's really like I think what Gary Vee always talks about, like jab, 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 right hook, I think is what he says.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like offer, like keep offering and telling the company like what you can do for them, and then make the ask of what you want them to do for you. So yeah, and I mean just prove your value to them, um and also, but just go after the brands that you actually do love and you actually do want to be partnered with, not just whoever is out there, because I know I've made that mistake before.
Yeah, right, right. You talked about some project sponsorships and one-off traveled sponsored trips, things like that. Is that
Hmm.
something that the players also experience, or for a player, LPGA, PGA champions, anyone, are they normally sponsored through a year, like through do you know what I mean? Like not
Hmm.
like through their
Yeah, I think
season.
for the athletes, they're definitely sponsored throughout the year through their season. Except for I think if it's maybe just like a social media partnership. Like
Okay.
I know sometimes some like LPGA players I've seen, they'll do like a social media promotion maybe for like a hotel or I don't know, some sort of resort or something. And
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's kind of a one-time thing. Yeah, so it's kind of like a one-time thing, maybe a one-time photo shoot. But for the most part, those athletes are getting year-long sponsorships, year-long, if not, multiple year contracts and deals. But yeah, those are typically how those would work. Except I think some of the travel stuff, I'm sure, is one-off deals. But I think like for the most part, a lot of the guys on tour, they're sponsored by NetJets
Mm-hmm.
or Wheels Up, and I don't know exactly. Some of them might get paid, or some of them it might just be free travel, free
Right.
flights in exchange for promoting. Because hey, I'm sure flying on a private jet is very expensive, so trade offs may be the way to go. Versus I don't know if NetJets is going to be paying, especially the smaller guys. The bigger guys, I mean, they're probably paying like the Dustin Johnsons and the Rorys and all those guys. But as far as like maybe the smaller guys, it may be
Mm-hmm.
just trade deals. But yeah, typically all athletes, PGA Tour players, LPGA Tour players, they're all getting year-long contracts, if not like multi-year contracts.
Got it. Have you had to break up with a brand?
Ooh, yeah, definitely, definitely. It's so funny because I think a lot of times you'll like go into, I guess, a partnership, and things will be said on both ends. And I'm sure there's been times where I've been at fault and maybe like I haven't held up my end of the bargain. But like I've had a lot of different partnerships where I've gone in and we've talked about like doing really cool stuff together and like collaborating, and it's been like about brand messaging. And then when it comes down to it, all they really cared about was their ROI and like converting into sales. And I'm
Right.
like, I get it. Like you have to have an ROI. Like I totally understand that. And that's how they show if it was a successful partnership or not. But I'm like, there is a lot of value in brand messaging and collaborating and brand awareness that you're not going to
Yes.
see a direct ROI, but that
Correct.
ROI is there. So yeah, sometimes, you know, yeah, I've had I've learned a lot, and not just with like sponsorships, but also like getting into business with certain people. Definitely my best friend Tisha, we did have a company. We had to dissolve it. It wasn't because of, issues between her and I. Unfortunately, we had outside issues, but, which I legally can't really speak of. But, a lot of time, unfortunately, but, the thing is, a lot of times it is like either just like the big dog trying to eat the little dog,
Hmm.
or it is like just someone having malicious intent, or it is just someone, acting as if they're someone who they're not. And then you get into business with them and you see their true colors and you're like, whoa, and you take a step back and you're like, this is not a person that I want to get in business with. So I definitely, now looking back, and even though I started my podcast with Kat pretty quickly, I will say like you have to learn how to be a good judge of character. And even when it comes to becoming an ambassador or getting sponsored by a company, like you have to be a good judge of character of the people for that company, the brand itself, and their messaging. And I think too, it's like take time to cultivate the relationship over a long period of time, because you just never know. And unfortunately, like people's true colors will show, but it's going to take time. So I definitely think that like kind of have multiple conversations, build that relationship before you dive in head first, because, the both parties, you and the other party can realize like, whoa, this is not what we thought we signed up for. Right.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, I definitely would say like, the only person that looks out for you is yourself. Nobody else will look out for you. So you have to always, always, always remember that. Even if people act like they're always looking out for you, they're not. Everyone is always looking out for themselves. So you always have to like, I would say proceed with caution with any sort of brand deal, negotiation, contract, relationship, whatever. Proceed with caution.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you get, I mean, I know you said your agent goes out and pitches brands. I would assume those are brands that you have pre-approved because you're not going to go
Hmm.
pitch something that you're like, no way. I don't care what amount of money. But how often are brands coming into you where you're like, that does not match my values. That does not match what we've been doing. It directly conflicts with another one of these over here. And how do you guys have those conversations? And maybe this is more of an agent question, but how do you have those
Hmm.
conversations with those brands to say, thank you, but no, thank you. Like this doesn't line up, whatever it
Hmm.
is. Do you
I
get
mean,
that
I think it's
transparent?
really just that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because, for me, like I'm a kind of person who, and like, I just personally, I guess, how do I say this the right way? I don't show myself off in certain ways. So there's like a lot of brands that are like definitely risque, not just like clothing, but even like maybe when it comes to alcohol or maybe when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to, I don't know, whatever the case may be. And so I really make sure that I am being very careful when I get into a relationship with a brand. And my manager definitely knows this. And because, I have an image that's true to me, and I never want to be something I'm not. And I'm not saying like people who are more risque are bad people. That's not at all the case. It's just not me. It's not what I'm comfortable with. And so I think definitely we've had to have those conversations, and sometimes like there's a great opportunity, but I'm like, oof, like I just don't know how I'm gonna feel if I have to, post XYZ or promote a brand. And especially too, like with alcohol, like I've posted like different alcoholic brands before, but sometimes I'm like, ooh, like I do speak to a younger female audience, like maybe I
Right.
shouldn't be promoting this sometimes. So yeah, it kind of just it depends definitely on the brand and the kind of like what I want my messaging to be and what's true to me. Um, but if a brand reaches out to either me or Jess and we kind of decide like, that's not the road we want to go down, it really is just being, polite about it and saying like, thank you so much for the opportunity, but like right now is the not the right time, or your messaging doesn't really fit with my messaging, and it's just being honest about it. And I think being honest up front is the best way to go, rather than like stringing people along or kind of leaving them still questioning things. You definitely just need to be open and upfront and honest and just say like, hey, your product's great or your company's great, but like unfortunately it just doesn't fit with us. Like we just won't jive. So
Right.
yeah, and it does suck because there's a lot of, I'm sure, great opportunities or great companies to be partnered with, but ultimately like I want to stay true to myself, and so that's definitely number one.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. If anyone is not following Nikki B Golf on Instagram, you can see what kind of style and aesthetic she is talking about. When you go onto our website, you can see some additional things too. But I'd love to talk about one thing in particular that was on your blog, because it was one of the first things that I came across, and just looking at the photos just made me swoon. I have never been to Lake Tahoe. I want to go there
Oh,
in like an instant now that I've seen your wedding. So let's talk
oh,
about
thank you.
your beautiful, magical, I mean, it looks like a fairy tale wedding
Oh,
in Tahoe, because it is straight out of a magazine.
oh my gosh. Well, thank you. And I will say it really was a dream. Like I hate to be, and I feel like I'm gonna be the annoying girl who's like, my wedding was perfect. But it's seriously like it was the most perfect, magical day of our lives. Like I am so blessed beyond belief. Like I still like sometimes my husband Tom and I like we'll just, think back to our wedding day and be like, gosh, like that was the best day ever. Like, one, it was at Edgewood in Tahoe, which if no one knows where that is, I mean, you have to go look it up. Like Lake Tahoe is the most beautiful place on planet Earth. It is honestly heaven on earth to me. And so I was like, okay, I know I want to get married in Tahoe. And the first time I stepped on the Edgewood golf course property, I was 15. And I was like, yep, I'm getting married here one day. Like I knew it. So this has been my dream venue since I was 15. And because I go to the American Century Championship every single year. And it's just beautiful. It's right on the water, and it's just the best place ever. So, yeah, we ended up, when we got engaged, I was like, well, I know where we're getting married.
Yeah,
And so
by the way,
we kind of had planned to look, yep, we kind of had planned to look at some other places, but that was our first stop. And it was so cute. Like I remember I was ready to sign papers right then and there, but my fiance at the time and my mom and my mother-in-law were like, okay, well, let's go get lunch. Let's think about it. And like, we can always come back today if needed. So I remember we were at lunch and like kind of like halfway through lunch, I don't even know what was being said, but like my mother-in-law just like looked at me and she goes, I can tell. She was like, it's the spot. She's like, you're not going to be happy with anything else. Like we have to go back and sign. And like, I like just remember that moment. I was like, yep, you are so right. So I'm so happy we picked it because it was so magical. I had my dream dress. Like I wanted to wear that Haley Page dress ever since it came out. So like everything did just work so perfectly. I will say, get a wedding coordinator. They are a godsend. It was so great having her. But yeah, it was just such an awesome day. I've never felt so much love in one room before. It was just the coolest feeling. Like we had, 156 of our closest family and friends, and in like one of the most beautiful places on planet Earth. And like, it could not have gone any better. Like I just remember everything so distinctively. Like I remember before we walked down the aisle, it was, just me and my dad, and I turned to him and I literally go, oh, SHIT. I was like, oh my gosh, I just said that. And he was like, what? He was like, are you nervous? I was like, no, but I was like, this is happening. Like I was like, looking out at everyone like over the water. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is unreal. And so, we end up walking, and I remember up to like when we were standing at the altar, I looked out at everyone. And I'm so happy I did, because like I have that picture in my head forever, just like everyone in like sitting down, I guess in the audience, I don't know what to call them, but yeah. And it was just like the coolest moment ever. And then we literally spent, I'm not kidding you, all night on that dance floor. I have never seen a dance floor at a wedding that packed the entire time.
That's the right way to do it.
At any wedding, yeah, at any wedding I had gone to, and that was our number one thing. Like my husband Tom, like he is a big, like it's funny, he's actually like a hermit, and he definitely is a homebody. But when it comes to weddings, like that's his jam. And like weddings or certain things, like we go to Stagecoach every year, and like he's the DJ, he's the music guy. Nobody else can touch it. Like, and he loves dancing. So like concerts, like country concerts and weddings, like those are kind of his thing. And so he was like, we're gonna have the best playlist, everyone's gonna be dancing and wedding. And then also we made sure, we were supposed to do just beer and wine only. Apparently the bar didn't get the memo, so they were doing a free-for-all. So the bar tab was pretty high that night. So no wonder why everyone was on the dance floor. But it was, exactly. Yeah, we definitely don't regret a single thing or a single penny, because it was all so well worth it. And, and then like 2 days before the wedding, we had played golf. And then it was just like, it was so cool. It was just so awesome. And then I remember, Tom and I woke up in the Edgewood Lodge the next morning. We were like, oh my gosh, like, did that just happen? Like, it was so cool. Yeah. So it was so much fun. When like I said, we're so blessed and just so lucky to have just such a great group of people around us. But yeah, it was definitely a magical night.
it looks, I mean, it really does. It just looks so much fun. And you two just look like you are having so much fun just in life. I mean, and I know we put our best photos out on Instagram. I get it. But I mean, when those are your best and you still look like you're having a good time, like that's awesome.
Oh yeah, of course. And I will say, like, Tom and I, we bicker all the time, just like any other couple does. We totally fight and we totally argue, but at the end of the day, like, we never go to bed mad. That's like one thing. It's so funny. That's one thing that everyone, like when I, at my bridal shower, certain things, even at the wedding, like the best advice I got, and I got it from multiple people, was like, never go to bed mad. And I
Mm-hmm.
really strongly believe in that. Like, no matter what your differences are, like at the end of the day, um, put them aside. Like when you go to bed, like don't be mad at each other anymore. And it's not worth it. Because if you go to bed mad, it's going to set your relationship up for, a bad day the following day. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah. And like, we definitely have our stuff, but at the same time, like, I think we always try to laugh with one another, communicate with one another. He definitely is like my biggest supporter, but he also like brings me down to earth. Like totally makes sure I'm like humble, realistic. He's the finance guy. I kind of like am the big dreamer with my head in the clouds. So we balance each other out pretty well. And yeah, I think it's just communication is key, and never going to bed mad is key.
I cannot disagree with that. We've been married almost, well, we started our 6th year. So it'll be 6 years in October, and it's just,
Oh, congratulations.
thank you. You do hear some of that advice and you're like, yeah. And then like you get to the wedding, and then you get after the wedding and you're like, oh yeah, that is something that you really can put into practice, and it is a thing. And my nephew, my second oldest nephew, is getting married, God willing, Masters weekend. I'm a little stressed out about that.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, wonderful. I'm like, right after everything's supposed to reopen, please just say it's open. But
right? Yes.
we filled out some things for Erica at the bridal shower. And I was like writing the advice, and I was like, oh, please don't read these out loud, because it sounds like I just looked these up on Pinterest, but they're actually things that like we live by. So it's like,
right?
just look at this
true.
Later. It sounds so cliche though, but like as you're living it, you're like, yes, that is what I need. Like right at this time.
100%. And it's so funny. Actually, so a couple weeks ago, we did go to a marriage conference at our church, and like, it's so weird. Like the one common theme between like everything that we heard was don't give up. And like, we hear that all the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Every single day we hear don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like you hear that, for your workouts, you hear that for your, going after your goal or your dream. And
you don't hear it
too,
for
like,
marriage though.
But it's so true in the marriage, like especially today with like, divorce rates, like
it's so easy to
climbing.
Give up. Yes.
And it's so easy to give up, but it's, I think when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Like you definitely have to like get back to the, basics. Like, why did we marry each other? And like, you can't give up. Like you made a commitment, and yeah, things can change, but there's always a way to figure it out. I'm a big believer. Like everything, like I even mentioned earlier about like talking about the coronavirus and the economy and everything, like everything will work itself out, and
Mm-hmm.
everything is figure outable. And it's like,
oh, are you a Marie Forleo fan?
Of course. Oh my gosh, I'm an everyone fan. Marie Forleo, Rachel Hollis, Gary Vee, everybody.
We had tickets to see the Rachel and Dave Hollis variety show, and those just got canceled today. So
no,
I'm like, come on. So girl, I am with you.
I know.
I'm with you.
Yep. Heck yes.
That's awesome. Well, Nikki, this has been such a pleasure. You have been so much fun. I am so excited to see you in your debut episode for
thank you.
Yeah, and so tell us when will it be on Tuesday?
Yes, so it is Tuesday, March 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I will be having my watch party here at 4 p.m. Pacific, but it is 7 p.m. Eastern. And I'm super excited. Yeah, it's School of Golf, so it's the first episode that I'm co-hosting with Martin Hall while Blair's out on a maternity leave, and I'm really excited. And please, everyone, go easy on me. It's my first episode. But I'm excited. It was awesome. Martin is so cool. He's such a delight. Like, he's even greater in person. And he made my experience like so easy, and then, more fun than I could have imagined. So I'm really, really excited about it.
Good. And then remind everyone of and I will tag all of this in the show notes, but remind everyone of your podcast name again.
Yes, it's The Pregame with Kat and Nikki, and you can find it on, I think, wherever podcasts are, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever.
Yeah, you can't hide from them. So are you ready to play a quick 9?
Yes, I love this. Let's do it.
What is your spirit animal?
Oh, is it weird? The first thing in my head that popped up was a fox, and I don't know why, but
No, not
okay,
at
I'm just
all.
gonna say a fox.
Perfect.
I
Perfect.
I feel like I don't. Yeah, sorry, this is not really quick, but I don't know why I don't think of foxes, and I don't think I've ever really cared for foxes. But yeah, sure, fox.
I will say, like, I say a quick nine. This is usually like the longest part of the interview. Um,
Oh, totally. We
they've
we
never
do a
been quick,
similar thing
but
in our podcast.
yeah, the stories are always so good. So it's worth it.
Yeah, yeah. I will
What,
also say though,
yeah,
another one of my spirit animals is probably a hummingbird, and it's like a good sign for me. So I feel like also a hummingbird. I also like everything they
yes.
represent, but today I guess we'll go with a fox.
Okay, I love it. What is your favorite holiday movie?
Ooh, what's the one? Well, I love Elf. Like I love Elf. But what's the one with? Oh, gosh, not Four Christmases. I think that one is the one with Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn, which I also love. But there's one with Cameron Diaz
Oh, The
and
Proposal. Not The Proposal, the
no,
Holiday.
The Holiday.
That's my
That's
favorite.
also a
Yep.
good one.
Yep. That's my jam.
I don't know if there's a holiday movie that I don't like.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll
That
go with that
helps.
answer.
Yeah, right? Okay, so I cheated because I loved this article on your blog. So
Ooh,
that is why I have this question because I think it is hilarious what you see people wearing on the golf course. So what is your
oh my
go-to
gosh.
on the course outfit?
Okay, well, first of all, it is not heels.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. I mean, maybe a little wedge if you are petite and you have to have some sort of a heel, but like yes, I don't know. But other than that, my go-to outfit on the golf course is definitely tennis shoes or some sort of flat comfortable shoe. Either jeans or leggings, some sort of like kind of like basic t-shirt, either short sleeve or long sleeve depending on the weather, a jacket, some sort of second layer, and then a hat always, and sunglasses. Always a hat and sunglasses. Even if I don't wear the hat like the whole time, at least having it with me just in case like the
Hmm.
sun is really, really, intense out there. Yeah, that is my go-to outfit. Like I've tried to wear dresses on the golf course. I wore a dress at Waste Management, and I was like, why did I do this?
I mean, I see like, well, and the waste management comes to mind because obviously that just happened. We were just there
Oh,
and I saw these girls and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, how are you going to walk in an hour? I wear sandals, and they were flat sandals. They were very comfortable,
yep,
but I wore sandals
I
one
did too.
time to the memorial, or not to the memorial. Where did I wear them? To RBC Heritage.
Hmm.
And I made great friends with the people in the emergency tent because I
Oh,
destroyed my feet and I was like, never again. I don't care. Like, this is crazy.
yep. And also, when you think about it, even if you don't destroy your feet wearing like some sort of sandal, it's kind of gross because you're walking in
Yes,
like dirt, mud, whatever. So
exactly.
I'm like, when I wear sneakers, like I don't wear like my freshest pair either. Like I wear kind of ones that, have been a little like gotten around a little bit
Hmm.
because you're gonna have to unfortunately step in some gross stuff. Like you're outside. I mean, so yeah, and Waste Management, that is a beast. I saw more body parts,
Oh,
private
girl.
parts, than
Right.
I ever wanted to see in like one weekend. So
We were there Monday through Thursday. So we weren't there on the craziest of days. Well,
oh,
obviously practice rounds are pretty laid back in
good
general.
call.
But even Thursday, like the intoxication level was pretty high, but people were still pretty clothed. But then coming
Hmm.
home and watching it on TV and then being like, well, so this is happening. I'm like, what? I don't understand. Like, y'all, it's a golf tournament. Have you been to a golf tournament before? Like,
No, I don't
this is
know.
not typical decorum.
Arizona, I guess. Yeah, Arizona does it different, I guess.
They do. They absolutely do. And you know what? Good for them. They raise so much money for a great cause. Like, I
Oh
love
yeah.
everything it stands for. It is just such a fascinating group of people that just live and die by that tournament and probably never go to
Oh,
anything
for
else.
sure. Oh, and yeah, and I definitely, yeah, like you said, I don't want to discredit Waste Management either. Like it is definitely one of my favorite events, and everything that Waste Management does is so amazing. And I think every other tournament needs to take after them.
Mm-hmm.
One, for the amount of people they get out there, for like the party
Oh
atmosphere,
my
and
gosh,
two, just for
absolutely.
the things they do for the environment. Like
Yes.
they have zero waste. And the fact that a golf tournament can do that is actually is just insane and just so, honorable and respectable. So yeah, I definitely think that every other tournament needs to copy Waste Management. They're doing it right.
They are. They are. Okay, so speaking of which, what is your favorite tournament or course?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I have a couple, man. So favorite tournament. I mean, I have to say the Masters. I was able to go. Unfortunately, it was the year that Patrick Reed won, but I did go like Sunday final hours, and it was just
Mm-hmm.
so cool to even be on the grounds. Wish I was there when Tiger won. That would have been much better, but you know what? It is what it is. I got to go. And so that definitely, I mean, that's amazing. I also love. I go to the Pebble Beach AT&T every year. I love that one because who doesn't love Pebble? And I grew up playing like in the Monterey area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love, obviously, not a PGA Tour event, but I love the American Century Championship because it's fun and it's kind of like has a similar Waste Management kind of crowd, and you have celebrities there, which is always fun. Of course, Waste Management, love that tournament. Gosh, there's so many good ones. Obviously, U.S. Open, and when that was at Pebble last year, that was so freaking cool. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good ones. As far as favorite courses that I played, I had the honor and pleasure of playing Cyprus a couple years ago, and it was like the day before my birthday, so like best birthday present
Oh,
ever.
heck yeah.
And it was, yeah, it was with my dad and another father daughter duo, and we were the first tee time out, and it was the freaking coolest day of my life. Like probably, well, I mean, marriage was number one, proposal number two, maybe getting my dog number three, and then playing Cyprus. But you know what? Cyprus and my wedding day might be a tie. Who knows?
What is your ideal way to spend a weekend?
Oh, this is a great one. Um, I definitely think Saturday. I like being productive, but I also would like to get a round of golf in there. So maybe spending the morning being productive. This sounds so lame, but like doing chores, doing yard work, just making sure we're doing productive stuff around the house because you're busy during the week, and the weekend
Oh,
is kind
yeah.
of just your only time to get to get things done around the house. So like being productive in the morning, going and doing a hot yoga class. I love doing hot yoga class. It's like my jam on Saturday mornings,
Mm-hmm.
and then going to play a round of golf. That's like my ideal Saturday. Cap it off with a game night with friends. We love hosting game night. That is like our favorite thing to do. Like we don't go out, we just host game night, and it's so much fun. And
That's great.
we have just as good of a time doing game night than we would going out, and we
Oh, heck
spend
yeah.
a lot less money, which is
Oh,
amazing.
yes.
Yeah. And then or sometimes we'll do the game night on Friday, just depending. And then Sunday, I love getting up early, going to church, and then kind of just taking Sunday to watch a golf and just like chill out. Like Sundays are like I always say Sundays are my day for God and golf. So I go to church and then I come back and I just watch, whatever golf tournament is on the couch, and we just chill. It's just a lazy day. And then kind of once the day is wrapping up, I plan out the rest of my, I plan out my week
Mm-hmm.
ahead. And yeah, and that is my perfect ideal weekend. And over summertime, throwing in some boat time on the lake
Oh,
somewhere in
absolutely.
there.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That sounds perfect. If you could speak another language, what would it be?
Oh, hmm. This is a good one. I did 6 years of Spanish. Don't remember much of it. Um, so probably Spanish, just because I don't know. It's the one I kind of know a little bit of.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have been to France twice. I wish I spoke better French. Um, so yeah,
It
I
just
guess
sounds
Spanish
so
or
pretty,
French.
doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I would gladly learn how to speak any language, to be quite honest, but maybe one that's a little more universal that can be spoken in multiple
Mm-hmm.
countries.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, Spanish. I mean, French wouldn't really get me very far, but maybe even German. My grandmother's full-blooded German, so that would be kind of cool. But
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. What's your favorite type of music?
Oh, ooh, this is a good one because I don't really have a favorite. I have a very eclectic taste in music. I like a lot of different things. I can literally go from listening to like Drake or Post Malone to listening to, I don't know, country, like, I don't know who it would be, like Randy Hauser, he's pretty country, or John Party, to like, you know, some like kind of like pop, like Halsey and Maren Morris. I love them. You know, I don't know. I have very much like, I can listen to anything. It just depends on my mood. Like when
I'm with you on that.
Like pump myself up. Yeah. When I try to pump myself up, it's like some rap or hip hop, like Drake or Post Malone. But if I'm trying to just like chill, it's probably, I don't know, something I can like sing along to, like, or country. Yeah, I like everything.
Cool. Perfect. When you were a kid, what was one thing you envied about adults?
Ooh, well, this is funny now, but I think the one thing I envied is that they had it all figured out and that they were all super confident. But now that I'm an adult, I'm like, that like they're all lying. Not true. I'm like, now the older I get, I'm like, the more I realize nobody has it figured out and nobody is confident. So I definitely, maybe, you know, it would have been like, I guess, you know, being able to drive like before I was 16, or like being able to have a glass of wine, things like that, having a house. But like, you know, all that stuff comes with responsibilities. Like I always wanted to be, you know, like, but I always say like 30, flirty and thriving. But now I'm like, now I'm 27 and I'm really close to 30. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be 30, flirty and thriving. I just want to be flirty and thriving, not 30.
Right. I always felt like mine was that they got to stay up so much later. And now I'm like, I get to set my own bedtime. And I'm like, I'd like to go to bed at 9 o'clock, please. Like, I don't have kids yet, obviously, but I'm like, you guys need to go to bed so I can go to bed.
Yeah. It's so crazy that like the things we wanted as kids is like the things that, you know, like I feel like the roles are reversed. Like what adults want or what kids have, and what kids have or what kids want is what adults have.
Yes.
And it's so crazy.
It's so funny. Like I want to take a nap and I never wanted to take a nap as a child. And now I'm like, bring me all the naps. Like, let's do this.
100%.
All right. Last one. What habit do you have now that you wish you would have started earlier?
Oh gosh. There's a lot of different ones that come to mind. Like, I guess like, yeah, like, you know, there's like financial ones and like ones that come with like being an adult and responsible and all of that. But I
like
think
all the boring ones.
Yeah. But I think, the biggest one is practicing daily gratitude. I really wish, because it's funny, and I've talked about this before, but like for me, actually practicing gratitude, like just helps so many things. Like it puts me in a better mood. It helps even build my confidence. It helps me stop being envious of other people. It helps like just a lot. It just helps a lot of different things, because it just changes your perspective, and it makes you realize like, I have everything I need. Like I am grateful. I am fortunate. I am blessed. Like, and I don't know, it just kind of, it makes you a more positive person, and it just makes you thankful. And I feel like when you're a thankful, grateful person, it's really hard to be mad or angry or sad or any of that. So I definitely think I wish I would have started daily gratitude. Like in high school or sooner.
Rachel Hollis will be very proud of that answer.
Right, for sure.
Well, Nikki, this has been wonderful. Can't wait to see where the rest of 2020 and beyond takes you. Thank you so much for spending your Friday afternoon with me, and we will see you on TV on Tuesday, March 17th, when this episode comes out.
Yay, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Bye. Thanks for joining me this week. Let's continue the conversation online. You can find me at Golfish Podcast or at Miss Amy Goodman on Instagram. See you next week.